Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be kind of going over something that I'm looking at on my screen. I downloaded OBS, so I'm trying to see how fun that is, and seeing if maybe seeing something on my screen might be a little more entertaining than just some random shitty image. But yeah, I can go back and forth between rambles and rants that I usually do about a specific subject, and occasionally doing something like this where I kind of look at something and maybe give you my perspective on it. So today I went to the Wikia of the Schizoid personality disorder, and I'm going over, man, terrible at pronunciation sometimes. Akhtar's phenomenological profile. So it's basically an overview of the overt and covert features of a schizoid. What is, more visually or behaviors that are more visible to the average person that confronts or comes across a schizoid or maybe a therapist or something, and then the covert stuff is more the things you find if you dig a little deeper. These aren't conscious subconscious type things. A schizoid can be fully aware of both the overt and covert. It's just they generally like to not display any of the covert because it's intimate, or it's it's just intimate. It's something that's private to me, and perhaps to those that I care about, the closest people. But that's it. Most people just get the overt most of the time. So, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the self-concept. So, compliant. Well, I can be compliant if it's something I don't give a shit about, in order to just avoid any kind of situation in which I bring attention to myself or unnecessarily put myself in a situation that I'm not comfortable with. I can definitely be compliant that way. But if it's something that is meaningful to me or important somehow, I'm definitely not compliant. Like I can be pretty combative. Stoic. So for sure stoic. It depends though. If I'm masking and stuff for purposes of again being compliant, then no, I don't seem stoic. I seem like I'm being happy and smiling and laughing and making jokes and things like that. Um, Sometimes I'm just kind of trying to entertain myself so that I don't feel too crappy about having to be in the social situation. But if you're close to me and you see me a little bit more for who I am, yeah, I could tend to be pretty stoic and quiet and to myself and just kind of like unmoved by things. If I'm watching a movie or see an event, if like, oh, there's cops or oh, look, there was a car crash or something. Like a lot of other people will be like, wow, oh my gosh, are they okay? All this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, it was a car crash. Look at that. That would be unfortunate if someone died. That's about it. Non-competitive. Um, I wouldn't say I'm non-competitive. And again, I'm not saying that this stuff is true or not true about schizoids. I'm just telling you my own experiences. I'm sure there's a lot of schizoids out there. Some of you which are listening, that some stuff may apply, may not apply to you. Just something interesting I want to kind of go over. And if you do have comments on what it doesn't apply to you, or if you disagree or agree or something like that, just drop it in the comments. I want to see it. I'm always curious about reading stuff like that. Oh, and thank you for any new subscribers and likes or anything else. Share, share, share. Recently, just this is just kind of a non sequitur, but I kind of was doing a little bit of math, and there's a few million of schizoids out there, and I'm sure a few million of those are English speakers. And interestingly enough, I went through YouTube and I couldn't find any active channel with I guess, a schizoid YouTuber. And then on top of that, if there are any, they're probably covert schizoids doing channels or masking for the purposes of making money on YouTube or something like that. But generally, I don't think we do stuff like this, so I'm kind of an anomaly. And I couldn't find any other schizoid YouTuber that was active. The only ones I found were like months. Channels are either months dead or years dead, or only a few uploads. And that's what I was told by others. But don't worry, I'm not going to go anywhere. Especially if I keep seeing my audience grow. Like, why would I go anywhere? This is entertaining to me. I actually found something entertaining. It's pretty awesome in that sense. All right, let's keep going. So, Non-competitive. Yeah, that was it. So when it comes to things I don't give a shit about, yeah, non-competitive. When it comes to team sports and stuff like that, I'm non-competitive. I don't really give a fuck about what team wins the Super Bowl or whatever. I don't really care what country wins the World Cup. Stuff like that doesn't matter to me. Sometimes I can watch, like I said, a sport for just it's really cool to watch, just human ingenuity and things like that. But I don't really care who wins. When it comes to me, though, I can be pretty competitive. If it's a hobby or video game or something in which I really like to combat, like fighting games, or I play stuff like League of Legends. Yeah, shit like that. Yeah, I can be really competitive. Um, I mean, I found myself getting angry over losing, more at myself for not catching something or not noticing something in the game that I should have noticed. Not really because I'm mad at them for winning. I don't give a shit about that. Lacking assertiveness. It depends. If it's something that I'm not actively trying to be interested in or participate in, then yeah, I can be pretty non-assertive because I'm just like bored or don't care. If it's something I care about, or I change my perception in a way that makes me care about it in my own unique way, then yeah, I can be assertive. I can be like, no, I don't want that, or yes, I want that. That's good or that's bad. I can be straightforward like that for sure. Depends on the situation. Feeling inferior and an outsider in life. When I was younger, I would definitely feel inferior. Um, Maybe I would have tell others about feeling inferior or let down or lonely and shit like that. But I didn't really quite understand what the hell was going on with me, so that might have something to do with that. I don't feel like that anymore at all. Definitely don't feel inferior. An outsider, yes. I think I'll always feel like an outsider. Um, but maybe us, well, me doing this kind of a channel and us kind of communicating shit to each other and having our own little weird, separate but united kind of community can help with some of that outsider feel. Who knows? Covert, so the stuff that's more private about me. So, and I don't mind sharing it here because I'm not actually talking to anyone, and I don't have to hear anyone's emotional responses to what I'm saying um, outside of the comments, which is fine because it's kind of separate from me, so I don't give a shit. But let's see, covert, cynical, yeah, but I don't think I'm covert about that. I'm pretty overt about my cynicism. I tend to look at the negative. I tend to look at things in very materialistic ways and very mm, like okay, well you're doing this because this is what you want, or this is being done because of this, or this and that. Unless it's people I'm close to, I tend to be very cynical about others' motivations, reasoning, things like that. Especially if it's fueled by emotion, and I know, for most people it is, then that cynicism grows stronger. When it comes to systems or large scale things, more meta stuff, yeah, I can be pretty cynical about it. I just don't think the world is run by good people. So cynicism is strong in this one. Inauthentic. Mm, yeah, and like if I'm masking, for sure, I can definitely be super inauthentic in that sense. Yeah, definitely when I'm masking, for sure, because then I'm just faking who I am. I guess I'm being inauthentic. I'm aware of the inauthenticism, and I think kind of like what I've said before is it makes me feel gross. It makes me feel just bad and drained when I'm being inauthentic. It makes me feel inauthentic, and it's damaging. It's draining when you feel that way. It feels, um, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just an awful feeling. Depersonalized. Probably the more inauthentic I'm being, the more depersonalized I can feel, for sure. The less connected I become to my own identity and who I am and what I am, the more I do it. If it's on occasional bouts, or if I'm making an effort to do something inauthentic for the purposes of reaching a goal or achieving something, then it's fine. I can kind of reason with that, but the more often I do it and for long stretches of time, yeah, it can lead to some pretty depersonalized kind of situation. Alternately feeling empty, robot-like, and full of omnipotent vengeful fantasies. Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, especially the fantasies, at least eventual fantasies, used to have somewhat violent, angry sort of fantasies when I was in my teenage years. Not so much now. More angry or vengeful fantasies and uh, more how do I put this, diplomatic ways now. So I do have my vengeful fantasies. They're just more diplomatic than they are over the top. rolling in with a tank or something like that. Robot-like, for sure. I wouldn't say, yeah, it's definitely covert because I'm hiding it with the masking. The emptiness is always there. The omnipotence, I don't know about that. Well, if the fantasies, then yes, I've had omnipotent fantasies, of course. What fantasy isn't someone omnipotent? Hitting grandiosity. Mm, yeah, in the sense that, like, sometimes when you're more researched or informed on something and you're talking about it to somebody and then you can tell that they're arguing based on, like, their feeling or their emotions or something, and you're not, yeah, I can give you this feeling of, like, oh, well, my opinion's better than yours, you're stupid. But that's something you have to kind of nip in the bud, something you have to work on as a schizoid for sure, because it doesn't necessarily mean that at all. And it's not really going to get you anywhere to think that way. It's pretty damaging to your entire situation. Even if you may be objectively correct about something or more informed, it doesn't mean you're right. It just means that you're more informed than the other person. You can't really feed your ego like that. It's kind of dangerous. Alright, so let's go down to interpersonal relations. Ooh, this will be fun. Withdrawn. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just depends, though. If I'm not liking you, then yeah, I can be pretty withdrawn. If I don't have any reason to be charismatic with you and you're annoying, and I don't have anything to gain from, masking or something, or anything to avoid, then yeah, fuck yeah, I'm withdrawn. Aloof, for sure. Um, that's the one that you have to be careful with because, if you do have a few people that you're close to and you love, you don't want to be aloof all the time. Some aloofness is to be expected, but you have to kind of rearrange your perspective on what might be something that you don't care about or you don't um, would normally not be uh, interested in. But when it's associated to somebody you do care about, you can't just be walking around all aloof about it. You have to kind of rearrange your thoughts about how it is that it is important to you. You have to think about the context of the situation. Once you latch onto that, then it becomes a lot easier to be more authentic about your feelings and without masking, because you can actually display feelings in your own way. It might not be as, out there or as loud maybe as other people's can be, but still, you find feelings. You have feelings as a schizoid. They're just hard to kind of latch onto or find because most of the time you're too busy trying to look at things like you're judging your interest on something based on a framework that is being given to you by externally. You have to find internal frameworks to make things interesting. That's probably something I'll go into another time more. Afraid of. Oh, no, sorry. Next one was have few close friends. Yeah, no brainer, right? How many friends is a schizoid really going to have? Not that many. Impervious to others' emotions. I wouldn't say I'm impervious, but if somebody, I can understand if somebody's sad or angry, especially because those things I relate to. But if I don't relate to the context of why they're sad or angry, then it's really hard to empathize. Downright impossible sometimes. But it doesn't mean that I can't tell that they're sad or angry, and I may make a decision based on that because I don't want to see them sad for whatever reason. I decided I don't want to see them sad or angry. So, or if somebody else is angry, I can tell, and I'm trying to avoid a conflict or something, then I'll maneuver around it. So I wouldn't say I'm impervious. I'm impervious in the sense that I won't be sad or angry by their sadness or anger or happiness, but annoyed could happen for sure. So I don't know. Impervious is a rough word. Afraid of intimacy. I'm not afraid of it. That's another thing that I've read a lot. Schizoids being afraid of it. It's not so much that I'm afraid of it. I just don't want it. I don't want it from most people. I don't need it. I don't crave it. I just need it from, like, the only person I need it from are my wife and kids. That's it. Where I have like a need, like where if I go too long of an extended period of time without some form of intimacy from them, then I will feel depressed. Yeah, that's it though. Um, Even with my closest friends, I just need them to be there for me as a friend so I can talk to them, and I'll be there for them if they need, a hug or they need something, absolutely. because they may need some form of friendship style kind of intimacy, and that's fine. I can respect that. But do I need it? Like, do I need them to hug me? Do I need them to, like, when I'm down, do I need a hug? No, I don't really crave that sort of intimacy. I appreciate when they say nice words, or they attempt to comfort me. Not so much because it works, but because the attempt itself is something I respect and something I appreciate. Moving on. So the covert interpersonal relation stuff. Exquisitely sensitive. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, exquisitely sensitive. Like, could somebody explain that to me? Maybe what it's trying to say. Exquisitely sensitive. Well, I'm going to take that as like really sensitive. I'm only sensitive to very specific things, but I'm not sensitive in that I react and like I get really sad. You know what? But then again, it might be true. I kind of take it back. I'm exquisitely sensitive when it comes to my wife and my kids. Yeah, I can be very sensitive about her words, or my kids' words. I can take stuff to heart. I can be hurt by the things they say, very easily. Uh, so I guess it's true and it's covert, because anybody else says anything, I don't give a shit. Like, it just bounces right off me because I don't feel any of it. But if it's somebody like them, yeah. And then in the next tier, when it's people I care about outside of, my wife and kids, they are capable of hurting me. Not to the same degree, but they can. So I'm not sure how well that applies. It's interesting though. Deeply curious about others. And this is really funny because I would say I am very deeply curious about others in a almost like clinical way. I like to know how people tick. I like to know why people do the things they do. I feel like that information, that knowledge, is useful to me somehow to just navigate everything. I am very curious about people that I find interesting because I want to pick their brain. I want to know what they're thinking or what information or knowledge they may possess that I can use. Um, in that sense, yeah, I mean, I can be pretty damn curious about what makes someone tick for sure, why people do the things they do. Um, am I? Do I want to be emotionally connected to those people that I'm curious about? No, not really. But it's just something. It's how I function. Hungry for love. Yeah, I would say yeah. But only like I said, like 3 people in this world that I'm hungry for their love. My 2 kids and my wife. For sure. Envious of others' spontaneity. Envious. I have felt envy. Spontaneity in the sense that like they can just have fun doing something that just seems so boring and dull to me. Yeah, I think I felt some envy in the past. Not so much anymore, but just feeling envy of like the genuineness of the spontaneity. Because I can be spontaneous, but it's fake, it's inauthentic. I don't really care. But I think I've envied other people's authentic spontaneity. Yeah, for sure. Intensely needy or involvement with others. Mm. See, when it says others, I picture like grand scale, like people in general, which is no, not at all, no, nope. But when it comes to obviously the nearest people, then yes, I would say I don't know. It's a neediness, it's an interest, and it's a want. But needy is a weird word for that one. Capable of excitement with carefully selected intimates. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Yeah, carefully selected people. So the few people that I'm intimate with in any kind of manner, yeah, I can get excited and laugh and have a good time and have a few drinks and almost act like a regular person and be authentic. But in my own way, in my own kind of aloof sort of way. It doesn't come as naturally as it does others, but I can do that with carefully selected intimates. So let's move on. We're going to look at social adaptation. Prefer solitary, occupational, and recreational activities. Yep. Yep. Most of my hobbies are solo or online competitive. Do I want to go out and do things with people? Not really. One of the few things I like doing with, like, I don't mind doing with strangers is like board games and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. That's fine. I don't care because you're just playing a game. It's social, but in a non-intimate way. Does that make sense? It's not like we're having a conversation about life or anything like that. I don't want to have that. But if you want to play a board game, yeah, that's fun. Want to discuss rules? You want to discuss stuff like things and objects? Yeah, that's fun. I don't mind doing that. Uh, Marginal or eclectically sociable in groups. So this is overtly. So what does eclectically sociable mean? I'm actually curious now. I'm not sure what that word refers to. I feel like I do know. Selecting or employing individual elements from a variety of sources, system styles, music, and eclectic person management and comedy. So, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, if it means that I can be social when it comes to specific subjects, in the sense that I can have conversations, yes. That's usually the case. That's people have to just say something that I'm interested in and then I can talk. But I only want to stay on the subject of whatever it is that they said that I was interested in. Vulnerable to esoteric movements owing to a strong need to belong. I like esoteric things. I mean, I'm into the occult, so that's probably something for sure. I like stuff that's secret knowledge, secret information, small groups that discuss secret things. Yeah, I find that very interesting. I used to join like little clubs of stuff, comic book related things, of niche fandoms of stuff like that. That was interesting on the internet, like just joining a niche fandom of something that's not that well liked or not too many people follow it. Yeah, there's something interesting about that that I think I've gravitated toward. Tend to be lazy and indolent. Lazy. Oh yeah. I mean, if it were up to me, half the time I'd just be lying around reading a book, doing nothing. So I mean, I could say that's definitely the case. Okay, so covert, lack of clarity of goals. Yeah, man, fucking for sure. I start one thing, it doesn't end, or it ends because I do that and then falls apart or something like that. That's not gonna happen with this. This I'm actually enjoying. And usually that happens because, I start something thinking, like I fantasize probably about something being a certain way, and then it just kind of falls apart, and it doesn't end up being that way, so then it fucking, yeah, the goals can be all sporadic sometimes in that sense, based on immediate interest. Weak ethnic affiliation. Oh, fuck yes. Oh, man. I've always talked about this to people, even before I got diagnosed. I don't give a shit about Latino group, like being Latino. I don't give a fuck about being fucking in the human race shit. I don't understand any of that stuff. It's not even ethnic. It's just species. I don't really understand affiliation in that sense. It's so foreign to me. It's so strange when I see stuff like people protesting and talking about their race or ethnicity or whatever, and just all of it is just it's all hilarious to me. Usually capable of steady work. Yeah, anytime I've worked somewhere, I stuck around for a few years. Every job I've ever lost because either the company fell apart or COVID-19 happened. So sometimes quite creative and may make unique and original contributions. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm doing right now, right? Sort of. I don't know. Maybe. Capable of passionate endurance in certain spheres of interest. Yeah, yeah. If I like something, I stick to it. Oh, look at that. There's the proof right there. Even this fucking thing says it. If I dig something, I stick to it. Not all of us can do that. The schizoids and everything. Sometimes it kind of crumbles, and I get that. But I'm very stubborn about if I like something, and I'll stick to it for a very long time. You should see some of the hours I put into certain video games, so stupid, or hobbies, just because I just got hooked on it for an extended period of time. I mean, I've been playing League of Legends for like fucking multiple seasons now. without ever stopping. Ooh, this is going to be interesting, right? This is the spicy one. Okay, so I am going to be doing a video in the future about the subject too. Probably some of these individual subjects to get into more detail, but this one is a spicy one that maybe I might do sometime. Love and sexuality. So, asexual, sometimes celibate. Maybe when I was single, I would have bouts of celibacy where I just didn't get fucking having any interest in that kind of stuff. But definitely not celibate anymore. Definitely not asexual. Free of romantic interests. Well, I'm married, so that doesn't apply. Verse to sexual gossip and innuendo. Sexual gossip, yeah, I don't really give a fuck about who's fucking who or who did what with who. Or I don't really like hearing other people tell me about their, specific intimate details of what they like to do in bed and stuff like that. Not really interested. I mean, I can have a pretty, like, I can have an adult conversation on the matter. Like, if you need advice or you want to talk about stuff like that. I mean, I worked at a sex shop for a few years, so kind of know a lot about that stuff. I'll go into that again another time. Secret voyeuristic interests. So these are covert. Okay, so yes, absolutely, have voyeuristic interests. Voyeurism in general is interesting to a degree. Mostly it's just a fantasy type thing. But it's a secret. I don't really care. I'll just say it out loud, so it's not really a secret. But I've definitely have some voyeuristic interests. Vulnerable to erotomania. So I had to look this up previously. Erotomania refers to like believing that someone's in love with you that isn't, like, that you're not even directly communicating with or involving yourself in any kind of relationship. You might not even be friends with them. It's just you. It's this delusion that basically, like, oh, the way they looked at me or the way they saw this or the way they said this word, and so you secretly think that they love you, but you never actually do anything about it. And it's like this crazy, well, I don't want to say crazy, but it's this fantasy, this kind of delusion. I don't suffer from any of that. Thankfully, I got the girl I wanted. I'm in love. I'm good. Tendency towards compulsive perversions. Perversions? Yes. Compulsive? No. I don't need specific things. But I do have go-tos when it comes to media, and I do have go-tos when it comes to intimacies with the wife. But they're not compulsive in any kind of way. But there are things I like, just like anybody else. But they tend to be focused more on the physical, the body. Especially a strange fascination with involuntary movement or involuntary action in that department. That is very, very fascinating to me. Let's see here. Ethics, standards, and ideals. Idiosyncratic moral and political beliefs, fuck yes. But I want to make sure, because I don't always know the exact. I want to have an exact. Yeah, peculiar or individual. Yeah, okay. I kind of figured. Yeah, somebody had mentioned in a previous comment about idiosyncratic beliefs or ideas. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's part of why you feel alone a lot. You have like fucking views that are very abnormal or strange or very peculiar. Definitely, if you listen to my political video, yeah, there's a lot of people who don't think about politics like that. My morals are different, obviously, because I don't attach as many feelings or emotions when applying them. I see them more as principles, ethical principles and stuff like that, not so much morals. A little less arbitrary. I kind of think more about the, like the pros and cons about a situation, what is beneficial to all parties. I guess my morality is kind of more based on that. Tendency toward spiritual, mystical, and parapsychological interests. Why is that? I've read that before. That is so strange because that's absolutely true. I do have an interest in the paranormal. I do have an interest in the occult. I have an interest in the mystical, all kinds of strange interests. But I also have a very strong interest in science and things like that. So, especially like which of well, sociological type sciences and things like that. Um, but yeah, that's funny to me. But yeah, I've always had an interest in stuff like that ever since I was a child. I still do. I love listening to podcasts and things like that about the paranormal or about parapsychological stuff or the occult and things like that. Cryptozoology, yeah, I'm all about it. That stuff's great. It's so much fun. I don't know why. I just probably because everything seems so fucking boring to me that when something is abnormal, strange, or not of this world, it becomes interesting. Because it doesn't apply to the everyday and mundane that everyone else seems to like, which is associated to social interaction, which is not interesting to me at all. So there you go. Covert moral unevenness. No, I'm pretty consistent. Pretty consistent about my principles, about what I think is correct and incorrect. I don't believe in any objective truth when it comes to anything, but when it comes to what's good and bad. But I don't give a shit about there not being an objective truth when it comes to that. I have my principles and I stick to them. And that's it. Occasionally strikingly immoral and vulnerable to odd crimes, at other times altruistic, self-sacrificing. I don't do crimes, but I can do amoral. I've done amoral things in my past, but nothing crazy, but just kind of asshole-ish behavior. Altruistic, it's not self-sacrificing. Maybe there's been a couple times where I did stuff where I probably didn't gain very much from it, or it was a detriment, and maybe I just did it out of sheer interest or wanting to feel something. So yeah, I mean that's probably happened at some point or another. And last but not least, cognitive style. Ooh. Digital style. But absent-minded. Yes, I can drift off in various directions, lose track of what I was immediately doing. I think, well, I was diagnosed as a child with ADD, so I might have something to do with that. Maybe it's a comorbid thing, but yes, absent-mindedness, for sure. There's a couple of things that I'm just incapable of doing very well because of that reason. Engrossed in fantasy, yes, when I was younger especially, not so much now. I try to stick as close to reality as I can, except on my free time when I'm just trying to have fun, because it tends to get me nowhere and accomplish nothing. And that is part of the problem, is us schizoids tend to drift off into nothingness for many years at a time and then realize, oh shit, we didn't do anything. It's all trash. So we have to make that effort as a schizoid to stick to reality, and then compartmentalize our fantasies, but still enjoy them for sure. It's part of. I love human imagination. It's one of the few worthwhile things in all of existence. Vague and stilted speech. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it can be very vague. As you've listened to some of my rambles, I can get a little vague and stilted and like long pauses, and I'm thinking, and then I kind of stop, and then I go, and I ramble. Yeah, for sure. It's probably because I think too much about what I'm trying to say, and I have a million thoughts going through my head at once. But yeah, it definitely happens. Alternations between eloquence and inarticulateness. That's kind of what a comment. Somebody left a comment about how, oh, you sound like you're very articulate, but you don't sound pompous or like a stuck-up asshole. Well, it's probably has something to do with the schizoid stuff, because I don't like stuffy shit. I like profanity, but I also like exact words, and I like concise speech. But at the same time, I like floating and just rambling. So I'm a walking contradiction in that sense. So yes, I can definitely alternate between eloquence and inarticulateness. So yeah, I've definitely done both. Let's see here. Autistic Thinking. You know what's funny is that before I got diagnosed as schizoid, I thought I had Asperger's or something. But there are some people that are considered both schizoid Asperger's, and there's some kind of comorbidity there for sure. Maybe I got some of that. I don't know. Who gives a fuck? It's not really important to me at this point. Fluctuations between sharp contact with external reality and hyper-reflectiveness about the self. Fluctuations between sharp contact with external reality and hyper-reflectiveness about the self. Okay, so basically I start associating the outside world in some way or another to some kind of reflectiveness or some behavior that I exhibit. Yeah, I've probably done that multiple times. And I think I probably do it on the subconscious level. I don't really think about doing it, it just kind of processes that way. I would say so in some ways. Auto-Centric Use of Language. See, I do not know offhand what the word autocentric means. I am a dummy. Let's find out. Autocentric, comparative, moral, superlative, blah. Centered in or upon the self, making or regarding oneself as center. Oh, so I'm always talking about myself. Me, my perspective, my view, my this, my that. I can be that way, yeah. But I think most people are like that to a degree. But that's one of those things in the last chunk of time I've been working on, because you can't be autocentric and be in a happy marriage or raise happy kids. You can't be autocentric all the time. You have to think outside of yourself, which is difficult for a schizoid, but it's doable. You just got to think about it. You got to think outside of yourself, through yourself, via yourself, and there's ways to do it. There's just really interesting workarounds that I've kind of discovered cognitively, I guess. Okay, well, that is it. If you enjoyed listening to me talk about my stupid bullshit, please comment, subscribe, like, dislike, insult, compliment. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. But either way, communicate something if you want to. If you want to send me a message directly about something, I don't know if I'll necessarily answer, but I have a Twitter. I use it only for this. I have a Parler. I use it only for this. And I'm on Facebook as well, under Schizoid Angst, and I use it only for this. I've had social media accounts under my actual name, and I generally let them float into nothingness, or I just use them to read things that I find interesting and then never actually comment or respond or do anything. But I hope that's not the case with you guys. So if there is somebody that you're going to be commenting to or, liking or whatever, hopefully it's me, because I'm one of you. No, that's stupid. I don't even like saying that. Whatever, just do it.